Okay, so in this lesson, we are going to divide with integers. Remember, integers are like 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3. Integers don't include anything like 0.4, I mean like 4/10, like, decimals. Like, it doesn't include any decimal. So, dividing with integers. 8 divided by 2. Now, you can think about this as taking 8 and dividing it into two groups, right? But one other way that some of you think about it, one useful way, is to think how many 2's fit in 8? How many 2's create 8? How many 2's make 8? We know that that's 4. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So how many 2's fit into 8? 4. So the question I want you to think about is how, when you see 8 divided by 2, it should read, how many copies of 2 make 8? And so we're like, well, okay, let's find out. 2, 2, 2, 2. 2, 4, 6, 8. So 4 copies of 2 make 8. Okay. So 12 divided by +3. So I like to draw the arrow. How many copies of 3 make 12? So 3, 6, 9, 12. So 4 copies of 3 make 12. Positives are easy because you've done this before. So 4 copies of 3 make 12. So 12 divided by 4 is, 4 copies of 3 make 12. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. And this one, remember, we're trying to fit the -2 into -8. So how many copies of -2 make -8? So -2, -2, -2, -2. So -2, 4, 6, 8. So how many copies of -2 do we need? 4. So we need 4 copies of -2 made -8. So the answer is 4. So how many copies of -5 fit into make or create -15? Well, -5, -5, -5. So 3 copies of -5 make -15. Because there's 3 of them. There's one right here. There's the second copy. There's the third copy. Now let's do a negative divided by a positive. So we have -10 divided by 2. So how many copies of 2 make -10? I'm going to show you something. So we have 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. But here's the problem. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. This doesn't make -10. This makes, this doesn't make -10. This makes +10 because 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, they're all positives. So the opposite, because we wouldn't leave it like this. This would be wrong. We would need the opposite of 5 copies of 2, which would be 5 copies of -2. So the opposite of 5 copies of 2 would make -10. It's the opposite of 5 copies. So it's not 5 copies. It's the opposite of 5 copies, which would be -5. So we have another example, right? So we're trying to see how many 4's make -12. How many copies of 4 make -12? But the problem is, if I do 4, 8, 12, I get, if I do 3 copies of 4, I would get +12. So I can't use this. I need -4, -4, -4. So the opposite of 3 copies of 4 makes -12. So -12 divided by 4, 4 fits into it not 3 times, but -3 times. And lastly, we have a positive divided by a negative. So how many -3's fit into 15? How many copies of -3 make positive 15. Once again, we have a problem. Negative 3, negative 3, negative 3, negative 3, negative 3. This would make negative 15, so we can't use this. We need positive 3, positive 3, positive 3, positive 3, and positive 3. So 5 copies of negative 3 don't make it. The opposite of 5 copies of 3 makes, 5 copies of negative 3 makes positive 15. So 15 divided by negative 3, negative 3 fits into 15 not 5 times, but negative 5 times. And finally, how many copies of negative 5 fit into positive 20? Well, we know once again, this would not work because this would give us negative 20. We need the opposite of 4 copies. We need the opposite of 4 copies of negative 5 in order to make 20. So 20 divided by negative 5 isn't 4, it's negative 4. Now, if you didn't notice in the last lesson with the multiplication, right here, this is what you originally started off with. A positive divided by a positive was a positive divided by a positive was a. Okay, what about a negative divided by a negative? A negative divided by a negative was a negative divided by a negative. Oh, this was 3 copies of negative 5 make negative 15, so we get 3. So a negative divided by a negative was a. So a negative divided by a positive. So a negative divided by a positive was a. A negative divided by a positive was a. And a positive divided by a negative now. So a positive divided by a negative was a. And a positive divided by a negative was a. All right, thank you.